The colony world was quiet that night. Metal towers stood against the dark sky, and the stars looked down like silent watchers. Among the workers and traders, one small boy walked alone. His name was Aaron. He was just a human child, but his heart was bigger than his small body. Aaron often wandered near the trading docks where ships came and went, carrying goods from other worlds. He liked watching the strange creatures, hearing their languages, and seeing the shining machines. But one night he saw something that changed his life forever. Near the docking bay in the shadows, a group of merchants stood. Their faces were rough, their voices cruel. And beside them, chained by her wrists, was a little alien girl. Her skin was pale silver, glowing faintly under the light. Her eyes were large and bright, but filled with sadness. She was a slave. The merchants dragged her along like she was no more than a broken tool. Aaron hid behind a stack of metal crates, watching. The girl stumbled, and one of the merchants shouted at her. He lifted his hand as if to strike, but stopped when a patrol passed by. The girl stayed silent, her head low. That night, when the traders left her locked in a storage cage, Aaron could not sleep. Something inside him burned. He was only a boy, but he felt a strange pull. He needed to help her. The next evening, when the guards were busy drinking, Aaron sneaked near the cage. The girl sat in the corner, hugging her knees, too weak to stand. Her chains clinked when she moved. Aaron whispered softly, "Hey, can you hear me?" The girl looked up, surprised. For a moment she did not speak. Then she nodded. Aaron reached through the bars and offered her a piece of bread he had stolen from the kitchen. Her hands trembled as she took it. She ate quickly, like someone who had not eaten for days. "What's your name?" Aaron asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Lyra." Her voice was soft, almost musical, though broken with fear. Aaron smiled. "I'm Aaron, don't worry. I'll come back." From that night, he visited her whenever he could. He brought food, water, and sometimes a blanket to keep her warm. Slowly, Lyra began to trust him. She even smiled once. A small, shy smile that lit her face like starlight. Aaron told her stories of the sky, of dreams, of how one day he wanted to build ships and fly across the galaxy. Lyra listened with wide eyes as if she had never heard such dreams before. "Do you ever wish to be free?" he asked her once. She looked at her chains, then back at him. "Every day," she whispered. Aaron clenched his fists. "One day when we grow up, I'll free you," and he stopped, his cheeks red. "And what?" Lyra asked, tilting her head. Aaron swallowed. "I'll marry you." For a moment, silence filled the cage. Then Lyra laughed softly, though tears shone in her eyes. "Humans cannot marry slaves," she said. "I don't care," Aaron replied, his voice firm. "I promise." "I'll do it." Lyra touched his hand through the bars. "Promise?" "Promise," he said. That night, under the cold stars, a secret vow was made. A boy and a slave girl bound by a dream of freedom. But fate is never kind for long. One evening, as Aaron brought food, a shadow moved behind him. A guard had been watching. His angry voice thundered. "You human brat, what are you doing here?" Aaron froze. Lyra's eyes went wide with fear. The guard rushed forward, grabbing Aaron by the arm and dragging him away from the cage. Aaron shouted, "Don't hurt her!" "She's my friend." But the guard only laughed. "Friends? With a slave? Foolish boy." He pushed Aaron to the ground and struck him across the face. Pain burned, but Aaron did not cry. He looked back at Lyra, who pressed against the bars, whispering his name. The merchants came running. When they saw what happened, they were furious. "No more," one of them hissed. "This girl is dangerous. She speaks too much." That night they moved Lyra. Aaron tried to follow, but he was too small, too weak. He only saw the ship take off, carrying her away into the dark sky. He ran to the edge of the docking bay, shouting her name. "Lyra!" His voice echoed, but there was no answer. Only the stars remained cold and silent. From that night on, Aaron never saw her again, but the promise burned inside his heart. He grew older, but he never forgot the silver-eyed girl, never forgot the chains, never forgot the vow. Would she remember him too? Would she ever return? The galaxy was vast, full of danger, war, and cruel laws. A human boy's promise seemed small against such power. But sometimes the smallest promises become the strongest chains. And somewhere, far away in the darkness of space, a girl whispered his name. Many years passed. The colony where Aaron once lived changed. The metal towers grew taller, the trading docks busier, and the skies more crowded with ships. But in Aaron's heart, one thing never changed: the memory of Lyra. He was no longer a small boy. Aaron had grown into a strong young man, working as an engineer on the colony's shipyards. His hands were rough from tools and fire, his mind sharp with ideas. He built engines, repaired broken hulls, and dreamed of one day flying his own ship across the galaxy. But every night when the stars appeared, his eyes searched the skies. He always wondered, was she still alive? Was Lyra still chained, still suffering somewhere in the endless dark? Or had she forgotten him, forgotten the promise they made as children? The galaxy had grown colder. The alien council, rulers of many worlds, tightened their grip. Humans were allowed to live and work, but under strict rules. Any contact between humans and slave-born aliens was forbidden. Many who tried to break these laws disappeared, never to be seen again. Aaron kept his head low. He worked hard, stayed silent, but inside him burned a fire made from a boy's promise. One evening, while Aaron repaired a shuttle, he heard whispers in the shipyard. Workers spoke in hushed voices about rebellion. In the outer systems, one said, slaves have risen against their masters. Another whispered, they say ships were stolen. They say chains were broken. Aaron's heart pounded. Could Lyra be among them? Could she have escaped? He tried to push the thought away. Too many times hope had hurt him. But the whispers grew louder in the weeks that followed. Stories of escaped slaves, of battles in the shadows, of mercenaries hunting fugitives. Then, one night, everything changed. Aaron had returned to his small home after a long day. His workshop smelled of oil and metal. He sat down, rubbing his tired hands, when the lights flickered. A soft knock echoed at his door. Strange. No one visited him at this hour. Carefully, he stood and walked to the door. His hand hovered over the panel. His heart raced. Another knock. Slowly, he pressed the button and the door slid open. At first, he thought he was dreaming. A figure stood in the shadows of the doorway. A cloak covered her body, but beneath the hood, two glowing silver eyes shone like stars. Aaron froze. His chest tightened. The years melted away in an instant. Lyra, he whispered. The hood slipped back. It was her. Her face was older, stronger, marked by hardship, but it was the same face he remembered. The same silver skin, the same eyes that once looked at him from behind bars. She was real. She had returned. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was heavy with memories, with promises whispered long ago. Finally, Lyra smiled faintly. You remembered my name. Aaron's throat ached. I never forgot. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. Her cloak fell, revealing scars on her wrists where the chains once bound her. She carried no chains now, only a small blade at her side. Her posture was proud, yet her eyes carried pain too deep for words. I escaped, she said quietly. It took years. I ran from world to world, always hunted, always hiding, but I survived. Aaron swallowed hard. He wanted to reach out to hold her, but fear kept him still. I thought I'd never see you again. You kept your promise in your heart, she said softly. And I kept it in mine. Aaron stared at her. You still remember? Her silver eyes met his. Yes, every word. The room fell silent. Aaron felt both joy and fear. She had come back, but the galaxy had changed. The alien council would not forgive them. Humans and slave-born aliens could not be together. Even standing in the same room was dangerous. Lyra, he whispered, if anyone finds you here. She lifted her chin. I did not come to hide, Aaron. I came to find you. To see if your words were true. Aaron's heart pounded. He thought of the boy he once was, pressing his hand to hers through cold iron bars, promising to free her, to marry her. That promise was now alive again, standing before him. Yes, he said firmly. They were true then. They are true now. Lyra's lips trembled, her eyes shining with unshed tears. But before they could speak more, a sound outside made them both freeze. Footsteps. Heavy, armored footsteps. Aaron moved quickly, shutting off the lights. He pulled Lyra into the shadows of the workshop. The sound grew closer. Soldiers patrolling, searching. Through the crack of the window, Aran saw them. Alien enforcers, their armor glowing with the council's mark. They carried shock rifles and scanned the area with harsh red lights. Lyra gripped his arm, whispering, They're hunting me. They know I escaped. Aaron's jaw tightened. The danger was real. If the soldiers found her, she would be dragged back into chains or worse. And if they found her here, with him, both of them would be executed. The soldiers paused near his door. One of them tapped a scanner, frowning. The machine beeped. Aaron held his breath. Lyra's hand trembled against his. For a long, terrible moment, the soldiers stood there. Then slowly they turned and walked away, their footsteps fading into the night. Aaron finally exhaled. But he knew this was only the beginning. He looked at Lyra. They will never stop hunting you. She met his eyes, steady and unafraid. Then let them come. I did not escape just to be afraid again. Aaron felt something stir inside him. The fire he carried since childhood blazed once more. He took her hand. Then we faced them together. Outside, the colony lights glowed cold and distant. Inside, a promise burned hotter than ever. The night was silent after the patrol moved on. Aaron's workshop was dark, only a faint glow from the old lamp above his desk. Inside, two figures stood close together. One human, one alien, both carrying the weight of years and promises. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence felt heavy, as if the air itself was listening. Finally, Lyra sat down on a metal crate. She removed her cloak fully, and for the first time Aaron saw the marks on her body. Faded scars ran across her wrists, her back, her shoulders. They were the cruel handwriting of chains and whips. Aaron's fist clenched. Rage burned in his chest, but he forced it down. She was here, alive. That was what mattered. How did you survive? He asked softly. Lyra looked at the floor, her silver eyes clouded with memory. I did not just survive, she whispered. I fought. Her voice was low, but sharp like a blade. When they took me away from this colony, I was sold to a mining world. Deep tunnels, no light, no rest. Many slaves died there. But I lived. And every night I remembered your words. Aaron swallowed. The promise. Yes, she said. The promise. Her gaze lifted to him, steady, unbroken. That memory kept me alive. I told myself, one day I will find him. One day I will be free. She told him of years of suffering. How she learned to hide her strength, how she whispered to other slaves when the guards slept, how hope spread in the darkness. One day a riot began. Chains were broken, guards slain, ships stolen. Lyra fought her way out, scars burning but spirit unchained. I escaped, she said, but escape has a price. The council hunts us now. We are criminals to them, property that ran away. Aaron listened, his heart pounding. He wanted to comfort her, to say she was safe now, but deep inside he knew she wasn't. The council never forgave. Lyra, he whispered, if they catch you, they will kill me, she finished, her voice calm. But I will not go back. Her strength both inspired and frightened him. He saw the little girl in chains, but also the warrior she had become. For a moment they sat in silence, memories weaving between them. Then Lyra's eyes softened. She leaned closer. Aaron, she said, do you still mean it? He blinked. Mean what? Her voice trembled. The promise. To marry me. The question struck him like thunder. He had carried those words for years, like a flame hidden inside his heart. Now that flame stood before him, asking if it was still real. Yes, Aaron said firmly. I meant it then. I mean it now. A tear slipped down Lyra's cheek. She smiled, a small broken smile, but more beautiful than all the stars outside. For a moment they were not fugitives. They were only two souls bound by something stronger than chains, stronger than fear. But the world outside was not kind. A sudden noise shattered the moment. A sharp beep from the warning system on Aaron's wall. He hurried to check the screen. His heart dropped, a signal. Unknown ships approaching the colony. Lyra's face grew pale. They've tracked me. Aaron's mind raced. The council had found her faster than he feared. If they searched the colony, every house, every workshop, they would find her. And him. They will never allow this, Lyra whispered. They will never allow us. Aaron turned to her, anger in his eyes. I don't care what they allow. You are free now, and I won't let them take you. Aaron, she began, but he cut her off. Do you hear me? You are not property. You are not theirs. You are Lyra, and you are mine. The words echoed in the workshop. For a second, Lyra's breath caught. Then she nodded, her eyes shining, but fear still lingered. She touched his hand. If we are found, we both die. Do you understand? I understand, Aaron said, his voice steady. But dying with you is better than living without you. Outside, the sound of engines rumbled. Colony alarms blared. The night sky filled with red lights as the council's enforcers landed. Lyra pulled her cloak back on, hiding her silver skin. Aaron grabbed a tool from his workbench, a plasma cutter, heavy but strong. It was no soldier's weapon, but it was something. He looked at her, and for a moment he saw the little girl in the cage again, pressing her small hand against his. He heard the whisper of her voice, "Promise?" And he heard his own reply, "Promise." Now, years later, the promise stood between them, stronger than ever. The door shook violently. A loud voice thundered from outside. "Open! Alien fugitive detected! Open at once!" Lyra's eyes met his. "They will not stop." Aaron stepped closer to her. His voice was quiet but filled with fire. "Then neither will I." The pounding on the door grew louder. The metal rattled, ready to break. Aaron raised the plasma cutter. Lyra stood beside him, her silver eyes blazing, and together they waited for the door to fall. The workshop door shook again, harder this time. Metal groaned under the force of soldiers outside. Red light from their scanners cut through the cracks. Aaron stood tall, plasma cutter in his hands, ready to defend the girl he had once promised to protect. Lyra stood beside him, her hood shadowing her silver face. Together, they waited for the moment the door would break. With a crash, the lock gave way. The door flew open and armored enforcers stormed inside. Their helmets glowed with cruel red lines, their weapons pointed straight at the fugitives. "Step away from the alien," one barked. "Humans, surrender and you may live." Aaron's voice was steady. "She is not an alien to me. She is Lyra." The soldiers hesitated, surprised by his defiance. No human had spoken such words before, but then they laughed, a harsh metallic sound. "Pathetic. A human dares break the council's law? You think you can claim a slave as yours?" "She was never a slave," Aaron growled. One soldier raised his weapon. "Then you will die as one." The shot came fast, a beam of red fire. Aaron swung the plasma cutter, the tool sparking as it absorbed part of the blast. The impact shook his arm, but he stood firm. Lyra moved with speed he had never seen before. She grabbed the fallen guard's weapon and struck, her blade slicing across armor. For a few seconds, chaos filled the workshop. Flashes of light, the sound of metal clashing, shouts and screams. Two soldiers fell, but more pushed forward. "Aaron, we must run," Lyra cried. Together they leapt through the back door into the narrow alleys of the colony. Shouts followed them. The night air was filled with alarms and searchlights. They ran side by side, hearts pounding until they reached the edge of the docks. Ships rested like silent beasts guarded by patrols. Aaron scanned quickly. His eyes landed on a small freighter, an old one he had repaired many times. "There," he pointed. "I know that ship. I can fly it." But between them and the freighter stood a squad of soldiers. Their glowing eyes turned toward the fugitives, weapons raised. Lyra's breath caught. "We cannot fight them all," Aaron gritted his teeth. "Then we don't fight. We outsmart them." He grabbed her hand, pulling her into the shadows. From his pocket he pulled a small device, an old jammer he once built for testing. It was weak, unstable, but enough to confuse sensors. He pressed it, and a wave of static filled the air. The soldiers' helmets buzzed with interference. Their lights flickered. In the moment of confusion, Aaron and Lyra dashed forward. Shots fired but missed. They ran up the ramp of the freighter. Aaron smashed the control panel, forcing the door shut behind them. Inside, the ship smelled of rust and oil. Aaron rushed to the cockpit, powering the old engines. Lyra stood at the window, watching soldiers swarm outside. "They'll shoot us down," she warned. Aaron's fingers flew across controls. "Not if I can get us into the asteroid belt. Too many rocks for them to follow." The engines roared to life. The freighter shook, then lifted off the dock. Alarms blared across the colony as the council's ships rose to pursue them. Lyra gripped his shoulder. "We cannot outrun them forever." "We don't need forever," Aaron replied, eyes sharp. "Just enough time." The freighter sped into the black sky, leaving the colony behind. But in the distance, enemy ships closed in, their weapons glowing. Aaron pushed the ship harder, weaving between stars, heading for the belt of dark asteroids that floated near the system's edge. The rocks loomed like giant shadows. "Hold on," he warned. The freighter dove into the asteroid field. Massive stones drifted silently, colliding with each other, breaking into pieces. It was a deadly maze, but Aaron's hands were steady. He twisted the ship between narrow gaps, engines screaming. Enemy ships followed, but not all survived. One slammed into a rock and exploded. Another was torn apart by flying debris. Still, more chased them. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "They will not give up. The council will never stop hunting us. Humans and slaves are forbidden." Our bond is forbidden, Aaron glanced at her. Then let it be forbidden. We'll break their law. Her heart ached at his words. She knew what they risked. Yet in his eyes she saw no fear, only determination. But even courage could not erase the truth. The council would never forgive them. If captured, they would face death. And anyone who helped them would suffer too. Aaron, she whispered, our love may bring war. Then let it, he answered fiercely. I'd rather fight the galaxy than break my promise to you. The freighter shook violently as another blast struck the hull. Sparks rained across the cockpit. Alarms screamed. They were running out of time. Aaron pulled the ship deeper into the asteroid maze. One wrong move and they would be crushed. Lyra grabbed the controls to steady the ship. For the first time, they piloted together, two hands guiding one destiny. Behind them, enemy ships closed in again. Shadows of death followed. Aaron's jaw tightened. This is only the beginning. Lyra's silver eyes glowed in the dim light. Then we face it together. The freighter vanished into the storm of asteroids, hunted but unbroken, carrying a forbidden bond that no law could silence. The freighter rattled as it slipped through the asteroid belt. Dust and broken rocks scraped against the hull, but Aaron held the controls steady. Beside him, Lyra's silver eyes glowed faintly in the cockpit light. They had escaped the colony for now. Behind them, council warships searched the belt, their red beams cutting through darkness. But the asteroids were thick, and Aaron's knowledge of old ships gave them an edge. The freighter was slow, rusty, but in his hands it moved like a living thing. Hours passed. Finally, the scanners grew quiet. The warships gave up the chase. Aaron leaned back, breathing hard. Sweat ran down his face. Lyra watched him silently. You saved us, he shook his head. We saved each other. For a moment, peace settled in the cockpit. But it was thin, fragile, like glass ready to break. They drifted through the silent black of space looking for safe ground. But safe places were rare in this galaxy. Every world was marked by the council. Every station was watched. We can't land just anywhere, Lyra said. If they see me, they'll call the hunters. Aaron thought for a long time. Then he remembered whispers he had heard in the shipyards, rumors of hidden stations, places where rebels and outcasts gathered. There's one place, he said. An abandoned mining station near the edge of the Orden Belt. If the stories are true, fugitives hide there. Lyra tilted her head. And if the stories are lies? Aaron's eyes hardened. Then we make our own truth. The journey took 3 days. 3 days of silence, of repairing broken wires in the freighter, of sharing small meals in the dark. In those quiet hours, Aaron learned more about Lyra's years. She told him about the escape, the riots, the other slaves who dreamed of freedom but died in chains. Her voice carried both strength and sorrow. Sometimes I wonder, she whispered one night, if surviving was luck or curse, so many others deserved freedom too. Aaron touched her hand gently. You survived for a reason. Maybe that reason is us. Her silver eyes shimmered, but she said nothing. At last, the mining station appeared, a broken giant floating in space, its metal walls scarred from old battles. No lights glowed outside, but faint signals pulsed from within. Aaron guided the freighter toward a hidden dock. Doors creaked open and they slipped inside. The station smelled of rust and smoke. Dim lamps flickered. Strange figures watched them, humans, aliens, all marked by scars and hunger, outcasts, refugees, rebels. A tall man stepped forward. His face was rough, his eyes sharp. Who are you? He demanded. Aaron lifted his chin. Travelers. We need a place to rest. The man's gaze shifted to Lyra. His eyes narrowed at her silver skin. A slave mark, he muttered. Lyra stiffened. Not anymore. The man studied her, then let out a dry laugh. Brave words. Dangerous words. A woman appeared beside him. She looked tired but kind. They are hunted, she said softly. Like us. Let them in. The tall man scowled but finally nodded. Fine, stay, but know this, no one here trusts easily. Betrayal cost blood. Aaron and Lyra exchanged a glance. They understood. Days passed in the station. For the first time, they were not alone. Rebels shared food and stories. Some spoke of battles, others of lost homes. All carried hatred for the council. Aaron repaired old machines, earning trust slowly. Lyra trained with rebels, moving like a shadow, her blade quick and deadly. but not everyone welcomed them. Some whispered behind their backs. Some looked at Lyra with suspicion, calling her a danger that would bring hunters to their door. One evening, as Aaron worked on a generator, a voice hissed behind him. Human. He turned to see the tall man, the one who had first met them. His eyes were cold. You should leave, the man said. The council hunts her, and if she stays, they will find us all. Aaron's jaw tightened. We're not leaving. She has a right to be free, the man sneered. Free? You think freedom is real? The council owns the stars. You will doom us all with your foolish bond. Aaron's fists clenched, but he held his tongue. The man walked away, leaving behind only the weight of his warning. That night, as the rebels gathered to eat, alarms blared suddenly. Sirens screamed. Lights flashed red. Council ships. A voice shouted. They've found us. Panic filled the station. Rebels rushed to grab weapons. Aaron's heart sank. He looked at Lyra. Her face was pale, her eyes burning with fear and fury. They shouldn't have known, she whispered. Unless... Her gaze turned toward the tall man. He was gone. His place at the table empty. Betrayal. Aaron's chest tightened. He sold us out. The station shook as enemy fire struck its walls. Metal screamed. The rebels shouted orders, but already soldiers were boarding. Aaron grabbed Lyra's hand. We have to go. They ran through narrow corridors as the station erupted with chaos. Rebels fought bravely, but the council's enforcers were too many, too strong. Blasts lit the halls. Smoke filled the air. Aaron's ears rang with screams. Finally, they reached the dock where their freighter waited. But soldiers stood guard, blocking the way. Lyra's blade flashed. Aaron swung a heavy pipe. Together, they fought with the desperation of hunted souls. One by one, the soldiers fell. But more came. Always more. At last, breathless, blood on his hands, Aaron pulled Lyra into the freighter. He slammed the hatch shut and rushed to the cockpit. The engines roared, carrying them out of the burning station. Behind them, fire spread across the mining base, rebels dying in clouds of smoke. Lyra stared through the window, her voice breaking. They trusted us. And now they burn. Aaron gritted his teeth. No, he betrayed us. The council killed them. Not us, but deep inside, guilt tore at them both. They had brought the hunters. Their love had cost blood. And outside, in the endless dark, the council ships followed again. Relentless, merciless, like shadows of fate. The chase was not over. It had only just begun. The freighter groaned as it flew through the dark, its hull scarred and engine smoking from battle. Aaron's hands shook on the controls, but his eyes stayed sharp. Behind them, council warships blazed like red stars chasing without mercy. Lyra stood in the cockpit doorway, her blade still wet with blood. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the dim light. She looked at Aaron, her voice low but steady. They will not stop. Not until we are ash and silence, Aaron nodded. Then we make our stand. The ship shook again as another blast struck the rear. Alarms screamed. Warning lights painted the cockpit red. We can't outrun them, Aaron muttered. His mind raced. But maybe we can outfight them. Lyra frowned. This ship is old. We have no weapons strong enough. Aaron looked at her, determination burning in his eyes. We don't need strength. We need courage. We need to make them fear us. For a moment, silence filled the cockpit. Then Lyra stepped closer. If we fail? He reached out, holding her hand. Then we die together, just like I promised. Her silver eyes softened and she whispered, Then let us burn bright enough for the galaxy to see. They set their plan quickly. Aaron rerouted the power, overloading the freighter's old engines. If they pushed them to the limit, the ship could unleash a blast strong enough to cripple even a warship. But it would cost them. The ship might not survive the burst. Lyra prepared as well, strapping herself into the gunner seat, checking what few charges remained. Her scars burned, but her heart was calm. This is no longer just about us, she said over the comm. The council hunts all who dare to be free. If we fight, maybe others will see it's possible. Aaron's voice replied, firm and fearless. Then let this be our message, the enemy closed in. Warships spread out, blocking every path of escape. Their leader's voice cut through the comm, cold and cruel. Human vessel, surrender the fugitive slave. Your death will be quick, Aaron laughed bitterly. Slave? She is no slave. She is Lyra, and she is mine. A pause followed. Then the enemy's voice hissed with fury. Then you will both die. The first volley came, beams of red fire slamming into the freighter. The hull cracked, metal tearing. Aaron gritted his teeth, forcing the ship forward. Lyra fired back with what little power they had. Blasts of blue light striking one enemy ship. It staggered, smoke spilling from its side. The Council fleet pressed closer. The freighter shook like a dying beast, but still it flew. Inside the cockpit, Aaron whispered to himself, almost like a prayer. Hold together. Just a little longer. Then he spoke into the comm. Lyra, ready? Her voice was steady. Always. On my mark, we release everything. If it works, we'll tear a hole wide enough to break through. If it doesn't... He stopped. We die together, she finished softly. Yes. The warship surrounded them, red eyes glowing, weapons aimed. Aaron's fingers hovered over the controls. He could feel the heat of the overloaded engines, hear the rising scream of power ready to burst. Now, he shouted. The freighter erupted with light. A blinding wave of energy shot outward, ripping across space. The nearest warship staggered, shields collapsing. Two exploded instantly, torn apart by the shock. Others spun wildly, systems fried. The freighter itself screamed in agony. Panels blew apart. Fire spread across the cockpit. Aaron held the controls with all his strength, steering them through the opening in the fleet. Go, Lyra shouted, her voice fierce with hope. The freighter burst forward, flying through fire and wreckage. For one breathless moment, it seemed they had done it. They had broken free, but the victory came at a cost. The engines roared, then died. Sparks filled the cockpit. The ship spun out of control, drifting toward a desolate moon nearby. Brace, Aaron shouted. The freighter crashed hard on the moon's rocky surface. Metal screamed. Dust exploded and then silence. Inside the broken ship, smoke filled the air. Aaron crawled from the wreckage, his body aching. He coughed, searching. Lyra! Her voice came faintly. Here. He rushed to her. She was pinned under debris, blood shining on her silver skin. Aaron's heart twisted. He heaved the metal aside, dragging her free. Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes still burned with fire. She smiled weakly. We're not dead. That means we won. Aaron held her close, his voice breaking. Stay with me. Please. She touched his face gently. I told you I will not be a slave again. Not to chains, not to fear, not even to death. Tears filled his eyes. I promise to marry you. I won't let the galaxy take that from us. Above them, the Council fleet regrouped. Warships circled the moon, preparing to finish the job. Aaron looked up at the sky, then back at Lyra. His voice was quiet but unshaken. Then this is our last stand. Lyra nodded, her silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. And our love will be the spark. The broken freighter lay silent, but inside its ruined hull, two hearts beat together, unafraid, unbroken, ready to face the final storm. The broken freighter lay silent on the barren moon. Its hull was torn, its engines dead. Smoke drifted into the thin air. Above, the night sky glowed red with the Council's warships circling like vultures ready for the kill. Inside the wreckage, Aaron held Lyra close. She was weak, her silver skin bruised and bleeding, but her eyes still shone like stars. They are coming, she whispered. I know, Aaron replied, his voice rough but steady. This was the end, or so it seemed. The Council's army surrounded them, their laws clear. Humans could not marry slave-born aliens. Love itself was a crime. And yet, Aaron felt no fear. He had made a promise long ago, and he would keep it even if the galaxy burned. The ground trembled as enemy troops landed. Enforcers marched across the moon, their weapons glowing. At their head stood a commander in black armor, tall and cold as stone. His voice thundered across the battlefield. Human. Alien. Surrender now. Your love is forbidden. Your lives belong to the Council. Aaron rose to his feet, helping Lyra stand beside him. She leaned against him, weak but unbroken. Together, they faced the enemy. Aaron shouted back, his voice echoing. Our lives belong to us. Our love belongs to no law. You cannot kill what you cannot control. Laughter rippled through the soldiers. The commander raised his hand. "Then you will die as traitors," blasters aimed. The moment of death hung in the air, but before the order could be given, a sound filled the sky, a roar of engines. From the dark horizon, ships appeared, not council warships, but patched freighters, stolen fighters, ragged crafts flying under no flag. The rebels, survivors from the mining station, others who had heard whispers of Iran and Lyra's defiance, outcasts, fugitives, dreamers, all drawn by the spark of hope. The commander's voice turned sharp. "Rebel scum, destroy them." The sky erupted with fire. Blasts lit the darkness as rebel ships clashed with the council fleet. Explosions bloomed, debris falling like burning stars. On the ground, rebels landed, rushing to Aaron and Lyra's side. A woman with scarred arms shouted, "We heard your words. We saw your stand. You are not alone." Lyra's eyes widened in disbelief. They came. Aaron's heart pounded. For the first time, he realized the truth. Their love had done what weapons could not. It had inspired others. Their defiance had become a fire across the stars. The battle raged. Rebels fought bravely, but the council's power was vast. Troops closed in, pushing closer to the wrecked freighter. Aaron lifted a rifle given by a rebel and stood at the front. Lyra gripped her blade, weak but fierce. Side by side, they fought with every ounce of strength left. Blasts filled the air. Dust choked their lungs. Aaron's shoulder burned from a shot, but he kept going. Lyra struck with speed, her silver eyes blazing, every movement defying the chains that once bound her. "Aaron," she shouted over the chaos, "even if we fall, remember, love is stronger than law." He roared back, "We won't fall. Not today." The commander himself marched forward, towering above the battlefield. His black armor glowed, his weapon crackling with deadly energy. "Enough," he thundered. "You are insects before the council. You will die." He raised his weapon at Lyra. Aaron leapt in front of her, shielded only by his own body. But before the blast struck, Lyra screamed, her silver eyes flaring with strange light. For one heartbeat, her pain, her rage, her love, all exploded outward. A wave of raw energy blasted from her, knocking soldiers back, shaking the ground. The commander staggered, his armor sparking. The battlefield froze. All eyes turned to the silver-skinned girl who had once been a slave. Breathing hard, Lyra whispered, "I am not your property. I am not your law. I am free." Her words cut deeper than any weapon. The rebels cheered, their voices rising like thunder. "Free, free, free!" Even some of the council soldiers hesitated, shaken by the power of her stand. Aaron seized the moment. He raised his voice for all to hear. "You see us, a human and a slave. But we are not enemies. We are not forbidden. We are the future. Love cannot be chained. Courage cannot be crushed. We are proof." The rebels roared louder, their courage renewed. They surged forward, overwhelming the faltering council troops. The commander screamed in fury, but his army was breaking. One by one, ships fell, soldiers fled, and the red glow of the council dimmed in the sky. At last, silence returned to the moon. The rebels stood victorious, scarred but alive. The council's fleet was in ruins, its commander gone. Aaron dropped his weapon, exhausted. Lyra leaned against him, her body weak but her spirit blazing. Around them, rebels gathered, faces filled with awe. A scarred woman spoke softly. "Your love broke their law. Your courage broke their chains. You gave us hope when we had none." Lyra looked at Aaron, her silver eyes glowing with tears. "We kept the promise." Aaron smiled through his pain. "Yes, we did." In front of the rebels, under the endless stars, they held each other. No priest, no council, no chains, only a vow older than war, stronger than fear. And so the boy's promise became truth. A human and an alien, once separated by chains, now stood together as symbols of freedom. The galaxy would not forget. The law of the council was strong, but the courage of two hearts was stronger. A new dawn had begun.